Well, everybody, thought we were going to have a hurricane today, but it seems to be quite a letdown here. I'm praying for all the people to the east of us, though, but I guess I'm going to do a little bit more work on this EFI thing. I didn't think I was going to get to it today because of the whole hurricane thing, but what I plan to do today is finish up installing the tank and mounting the fuel pump. And then the only thing that, and finish up the fuel tank with, I got the return bracket, not bracket, but fitting that I ordered. I bought, since it's in the center or the side of the tank, I have got a 90 degrees, so it'll point it down towards the bottom of the tank. So I have that, so I can finish that up, put the sending unit in, and that's where we'll be at with that. So if I can get all this done, then tomorrow all I should have to do is wire it up and purge the line and see if I can get this thing to crank off, and then I'll drive it like that for a little bit, let it self-learn, and then I'm going to put in the dual sync distributor so that it can control the timing. So that's where I'm at, and that's what I'm planning on doing today. Thank you. All right, we're gonna see what we can do about mounting this fuel tank, since I can't get the plugs in, and I don't want to sit around here and do nothing all day. So I'm going to try and mount the tank somewhat, and then once we have it mounted, then I can figure out if I can drill holes into the straps to mount a bracket for the fuel pump. So first thing I got to do is put these straps on, and we'll see how that's going to work. Well, that was pretty loud thunder. The dogs don't like that, which I don't blame them. The other part of this is I want to see if it's all gonna fit, and I can put the return line into the filler neck, because right now I'm having a hard time getting my hand into the tank to put the return line. So So since I changed from 72, 73 tank to 74 and up tank, I had to remove the filler neck so that I could install the tank. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I might have to get a jack, even though it's light, it's just ball. Alright, well, I decided to start trying to figure out how I'm going to route the wiring. Taking a break from the old fuel system today. So, when I'm looking at this, my understanding is this one from the front goes up to the front there of the throttle body. This is the O2 sensor line, and then from the back corner here we have 3 connectors. The smaller one is the goes to the handheld programmer inside the car. The 7-pin, which is this one, goes to the power on and off, to the coil, etc. And this is the 10-pin that I don't know how much of it I got to use, because I'm not going to run a shut off for the fan. I'm not going to run AC kick down. I got a CD box, so I don't really need the coil wire. So that's what's on this side. Well, today I decided to take a break from the fuel system. I just had to take a break. I'm sort of burnt out on fuel system, so I wanted to get working on starting to wire up the throttle body. It doesn't look that difficult, but one of the things I have to do is tie it into my MSD box. So I want to make sure that I don't wire anything incorrectly and fry my ECU. So that's what we're going to go over today. I may not get a bunch wired, but at least I'm going to be moving forward rather than not moving forward. So here we go. All right, so on this side, I'm starting from the driver's side. Just bear with me here. On the driver's side, the one connection that's on the driver's side is a 7-pin, which is where the power and the crank signal and the ignition and all that takes place tying into the system. So this is, again, power, ground, switch 12 volt, etc., etc. Luckily, I have a switch 12 volt right here that goes to the coil and goes to the MSD box, and then I have the solid lines going directly to the battery for power and ground, so we can splice it into that particular connection. On the passenger side, at the back of the throttle body, has 3 connectors. One is the coolant temperature sensor, one is for the 3.5-inch display. I think that's the display. And one is a 10-pin connector, which is this one, I think, which I really don't have that much. That's where the tack comes out of, and a couple other things. So I gotta do a little research, figure out where all these go. But that's what we're doing today, researching and making sure that I don't route the wires anywhere that they'll get burned up. So here we go. Coming out of the front, I really don't think that connector is correctly shown on my booklet. Saying this should be the O2 sensor, but it really looks like it needs to be the coolant sensor. And then we have that. I just don't get it. There's only 4 or 5 wires that come out of the whole thing, and it just does not seem right. So let me continue on. And again, this is what I'm looking at. And passenger front should be O2 sensor, and passenger rear should be display, coolant, and then the 10 pin. Well, that's not that's a 10 pin, that's the display, and that's definitely not the coolant. So that looks more like a 7 pin to me. If I count them 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 7 pins in there. And then on this side, that looks more like the coolant. So I think they might have their diagram a little wrong, but I'll figure it out. All right, so the front right, the passenger side front, which is in front of the regulator, was in fact the coolant temperature sensor, not the O2 sensor. So the old book's wrong. Imagine that. Maybe I have a later version. So alright, so I connected the temperature sensor, and now I am going to figure out which one of these lines back here. Actually, I think it's across there that is the line for the oxygen sensor. So let me get that and we'll go from there. There is the oxygen sensor, and I'm gonna go see if the other line mates up with that. Guess what? It does. So the driver's rear line is the oxygen sensor line. So I got to route it over to where I have the oxygen sensor on the passenger side bank of exhaust. I'm routing it behind and under everything, and then I'm going to run it down the return fuel line so that it has something to support it and keep it away from the headers. That's my plan anyways. Hopefully I got enough. there it is coming down. Routing the route. And there you can't see it. There it is. Make sure it connects, and then we'll figure out where we're going to route it some more. All right, so that means that it is connected, that it does go to the driver's side of the fuel body. So now I just got to route it back up there where it doesn't get in anything that'll burn it. So that's where we're at. Alright, so I connected the O2 sensor to the line, and then I tie strapped it, zip tied it to the fuel return line so that it has something to support it away from the headers. So there you go. Alright, and I zip tied it up here. I'll cut it, but right now I'm just making sure everything's somewhat clean and organized. I'm gonna have to figure out where I'm gonna get a hole, or what hole I'm gonna run the handheld controller through the firewall. But I guess I will get the 7-pin the 7-pin connector, the loom, and see if I can start hooking that up. So I have the 7-pin connector right here, which has, in this bundle, the yellow goes to the coil if you're not using a CD box. With a CD box, you don't use it at all, you just leave it. The pink goes to the switch 12 volt, and the purple and green go to your CD box. So this is a 7-pin connector. Green and purple, yellow we're not going to use. Black and red right there go directly to the battery. And the blue line goes all the way to the back, and it has a relay so that it goes all the way back to feed the fuel pump. And then all we do is plug the blue and purple into the tag output on the MSD box, I think is what it's, condition adapter. So we'll see what we can do, and then clean it all up, of course. All right, so coming out of my CD box, I have the black and the red. They go directly to the battery, which is what I'm gonna have to do with my black and red for the ECU. The white goes to the green line on the intake of the Unilite distributor. The red goes to the red line on the distributor, but it also goes to the switched ignition. So I know where I have 12 volt keyed right there. And I think that's it. So it should be, and then the beauty is I think that's my connection that I need to make for the purple and green in my wiring harness, and I have purple and green. That's pretty amazing. So there we go. All right, so I have found my adapter, and we're gonna wire that up, and that's what's for dinner today. And like I said, this is pretty straightforward stuff. Looks like a mess, but like I said, I'm going to clean it up about a bazillion % once I get everything correctly wired and running. Then I'll just take it one piece at a time, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much, and here we go. Alright, so I have the red, which is the absolute smallest butt connector I can get. That goes in there. I'm going to try my new ratcheting, my crimpers, see how they work out for this end. And they're perfectly crimped, love it. And now we'll get the connector for the adapter, nicely bread wrapped, so that we can connect it to the tack output. I'm going to strip that off. There we go. Fit it into the butt connector, and then use my new favorite ratcheting correctly torqued crimper. There we go. Good solid connection. Like I said, I'm going to clean all these up. Just heat shrink it all and make a good loom out of everything, because I got way too much wire, but it'll work for now. I just got to make sure I don't have it get eaten by the fan. Alright, and I think I got it. And it's plugged together. So there we go. It's now wired into the EFI. So everything, even though it's a mess, is done up here. Now I have to go do the next thing, which is mount the fuel pump and the fuel tank, which is even more fun. I don't know if that's correct English, but that's what's next. So here we go.